They say the lake is just water.
People just vanish, they say. Like the hollow itself swallows them.
But what if the water remembers?
It's a cycle, something old beneath the water.
For generations, locals have whispered of something beneath drowned hollow. Chapter 1. The water remembers. The lake sat like a forgotten eye, wide and dark beneath the morning mist. Pines surrounded it, their trunks like silent watchers, never blinking. Drowned Hollow was the name given by locals, though no one could quite say why. The land had always been that way, hollow, as if something inside had been scooped out. A battered Land Rover pulled up to the edge of the gravel trail. Out stepped three figures, city-worn and gear-laden, but eyes bright with obsession. Dr. Malcolm Price. Tall, narrow-faced, once a respected zoologist, now something closer to a cult figure in online circles. His voice had that clipped precision of someone who didn't sleep much. Behind him, Aria Lane, younger, sharp, with camera in hand and a dark ponytail slung over her shoulder. She ran the channel Shadow Scope Investigations, a paranormal platform that blurred lines between research and theatre. And last was Ewan Trask, former military turned logistics and security. He didn't believe in monsters, but he believed in things that killed men quietly. Malcolm, tapping the voice recorder. Day 1. Coordinates confirmed. Drowned Hollow Lake, Norfolk. Altitude minimal. Water level stable. Locals report 14 disappearances in 22 years. 5 bodies recovered. 9 never found. Locals say the hollow keeps what it takes. Aria, holding the lens towards the lake. It's eerie. Look at the water. It doesn't ripple. It's like a skin. I swear something moved out there. Ewan, unimpressed. Probably a pike. Maybe a deer. Aria, half smiling. Or maybe the hollow. She zoomed in and captured the stillness, panning across reeds that shivered without wind. That night, gathered around a rusted fire pit behind their rented cottage, they reviewed interviews from locals recorded earlier that week. Old woman's voice, on playback. No one swims in it now. Not since the boy in '89. Said he saw it. Tall, dripping, arms too long. Then he was gone by morning. Old man's voice, on another tape. We used to say the hollow had a heart, and it beat once every winter. That's when it called to someone. Always someone alone. Aria, rubbing her arms. These people aren't making this up. There's consistency. Descriptions, timing, weather patterns. Something's triggering the disappearances. Malcolm. Mass hysteria. Or a migratory predator we've never classified. Evolution hides things in places we stopped looking. Ewan. Or someone's burying bodies and telling bedtime stories to keep nosy types out. Malcolm, grinning faintly. Then let's be nosy. Later, Malcolm set up a motion sensor grid near the shore. Aria combed the area for signs of life, animal or otherwise, and Ewan quietly walked the tree line, hand on his belt. As night settled, Aria filmed a final segment beneath the rising fog. Aria to camera. Day 1 at Drowned Hollow. Equipment is up. Locals are spooked. The lake's still, but stories whisper through this place like breath through tall grass. We're here to find the truth, because every myth begins with a witness, and some never stop watching. Behind her, the lake made no sound, but deep beneath the black surface, something had turned. Chapter 2. Shadows on the glass. The rain hadn't stopped. It tapped on the tin roof in erratic rhythm, like fingers drumming in thought. The wind pushed fog against the windows, thick and clinging, turning the outside world into a shapeless smear of grey. Inside the cabin, the air had grown still. The fire crackled low in the stone hearth. Aria sat curled near the flames, her laptop open but untouched. Ewan paced near the door, arms folded, every creak in the wood making his shoulders tighten. And Malcolm, He just watched the window. Aria quietly. One guy, James Rotherby, he said he saw it, claimed he caught it on film, even said he trapped it in a net. That was 1997. You know what they found? And without turning, his boat, torn to hell, no camera, no body. Aria nodding. And he's not the only one. Every single person who's ever said they've seen it, actually seen it, not just heard something. They've all gone missing. Like the story punishes anyone who gets too close. Malcolm, still staring through the fog glass. That's what makes it important. Legends don't eat people, animals do. Myths don't erase bodies. Something else is at work here. He moved towards the table, where old police reports were spread out. Muddy photos, missing person flyers, sonar readings with strange blurs and distortions. Malcolm, tapping the page. Rotherby, Yvonne Ellis, Marcus Hale, all recorded seeing something, documenting it, and then vanishing. No remains, no answers. Aria, you think it's protecting itself? Or is it the lake, like it doesn't want to be understood? Ewan, maybe it's not about understanding. Maybe it's about warning us off, like a wolf growling, like a sudden sound cut through the room. Tap, sharp, deliberate, right against the glass. They froze at tap, tap. Aria turned her head slowly. The window beside the fireplace was fogged, but there, on the outside, was a shape, a handprint, slick and webbed, pressed against the pane. The fingers were long, clawed, not human. Aria whispering, "That's not condensation." The print began to slide downward, slowly, as if the hand were dragging itself down the glass. Then it vanished. Malcolm stepped forward carefully, breath fogging the glass from inside. Nothing, only trees and mist. Malcolm, calmly, almost reverently, "It's real," Ewan grabbing his flashlight. "Or it knows we are." The three of them stood in the silence that followed, each waiting for the other to speak. But the cabin didn't speak. It just listened, creaked, and breathed with the lake. Outside, the fog swallowed everything, and something moved, just beyond it. Chapter 3. Beneath the Surface. Morning broke, but no warmth came with it. Just pale light leaking through wet clouds, pooling across the forest floor like spilled milk. The fog had lifted slightly, revealing the shoreline in full. Twisted reeds, dark water, and something new. Ewan stood near the edge of the trees, crouched low over the mud, calling out, "Tracks, big, humanoid, but not." Malcolm and Aria emerged from the cabin, gear slung over their shoulders, steam rising from metal mugs clutched in their hands. Aria peering down. They're not fresh, but they're deliberate, spaced apart, upright. Malcolm adjusting his recorder. "Then it wants to be seen. It's leaving a trail." Ewan, or leading us into something. The prince led through the reeds, disappearing near a spot where the lake lapped gently against a sunken bank. There, they set up the underwater rig, a sonar camera attached to a long steel cable, its lens flickering green in the cold water. Aria, "I've got a signal. Drop off just a few meters down. There's an opening. Some kind of cavity beneath the shelf." Malcolm, "Cave system. That's how it moves." Ewan quietly, "Or hides." Aria uneasy, "Or waits." They stared at the monitor. Blurry shapes, flickers of movement in the water, then a tunnel, natural stone, hollow, waiting. Ewan suited up, mask, regulator, weighted belt. Aria helped him with the harness while Malcolm watched the feed. Aria, "Don't go far in. Just confirm it's real." Ewan, "Define real." Then he slipped under the surface, disappearing into the lake's black throat. The world beneath was cold and quiet. Light didn't travel far. The tunnel opened wide beneath the rock shelf. Ewan swam through slowly, breathing steady, light flickering against the stone. Then, air. He surfaced in a hollow cave, water sloshing behind him. The walls were rough and veined with moss, a natural dome, but it wasn't empty. Scattered across the ground, remnants, a broken camera, a rusted lantern, a torn parka, half rotted, a child's boot. He knelt, brushing algae from an ID card. Yvonne Ellis, missing 2003. Ewan, whispering into the radio. Malcolm, Aria, it's real. The people, they were here, all of them. Then something moved. Behind him, in the far shadowed corner of the cavern, a shape, tall, still, watching. Two glowing yellow eyes opened slowly, like coals awakened by breath. It stepped forward. Webbed claws dragged against the stone. Not fast, not charging, just coming. Ewan didn't hesitate. He turned and dove back into the water. He broke the surface, gasping, crawling up onto the bank like something born again. Ewan shouting, I saw it. It's coming. It's real and it's coming. Back at the cabin, they moved quickly. They strung a net trap between two trees near the bank. Steel wiring, pulleys, motion triggers. Baited with a strobe light and raw fish in a crate. Malcolm, focused and alive with obsession, oversaw it. Malcolm, we catch it tonight. Contain it. Study it. This is history. Aria, loading a tranquilizer gun. Or we're feeding it. Night fell, and with it came the fog once more. The lake held its breath. Then movement, a ripple in the water, a shape rising. The sensors clicked. The net snapped up, metal wires shivering, and something heavy inside. The creature shrieked, not loud but guttural, wet, ancient. They approached slowly, flashlights trembling. Inside the trap, coiled and soaked, was a figure, taller than a man, covered in mossy skin, breathing through gills, its eyes locked on Malcolm with recognition. It didn't thrash. It stared, like it knew. Aria softly, We caught it. Ewan, almost afraid to believe it. Now what? Malcolm, Now, we bring it home. And so they did. They dragged it back through the trees, still wrapped in netting, still silent, but none of them saw, as they disappeared into the fog, that the lake rippled again, as if something else had entered, or something new had awakened. Chapter 4. The Price of the Lake. The creature didn't fight. It lay still beneath the netting, gills fluttering, limbs folded in on themselves, like someone exhausted from decades of running. Its yellow eyes remained open, unfocused, but not afraid. It was not a beast. It was a prisoner. Inside the cabin, they placed it in the shallow containment tank, just enough water to keep it alive, surrounded by lights, cameras, and notepads. Aria moved in cautiously, documenting its anatomy. Ewan stood watch, weapon drawn, but hands trembling, and Malcolm just stared. Aria whispering, It's not resisting. It's not aggressive. Ewan, tightening his grip, Maybe it's playing dead. Malcolm, No, it's tired. Look at its eyes. The creature's gaze met his, long, unblinking. There was pain in those eyes, and relief. Malcolm, softly, It wanted to be caught. Then, as they watched, it began to change. Its form twitched. The webbed claws shrank inward. Moss flaked from its skin. The gills stopped pulsing. And slowly, horribly, it began to dissolve, not like melting, but like evaporating from existence. Muscle turned to mist, bone to steam. It faded piece by piece, until only a dark shimmer remained on the water's surface, like the outline of a scream that never escaped. Aria, What the hell? Ewan, It's gone. Malcolm, staring, breath shallow. No, not gone. Released. They stood in silence. The tank was empty. Aria, voice shaking. It didn't fight because it wanted us to end it, like it was human. Once. Ewan. Then what the hell was it? Malcolm. Not what. Who? They packed up in silence. No one spoke. No one celebrated. By the time they reached the vehicle, the clouds had thickened again. Malcolm climbed into the front seat, key in hand. Click, click. The engine wouldn't start. Ewan. Battery's fine. Tank's full. It should run. Aria. Try again. Click. Nothing. So they hiked. Equipment left behind. Bags over shoulders. Fog thickening around them like old hands. They made it maybe a quarter mile before they saw it. A wall of water. Not rain and not mist. A vertical, shimmering veil rising from the ground, stretching across the forest like a dam of glass. It pulsed softly, as if breathing, and when Malcolm touched it, the surface rippled and pushed his hand back. They were trapped. Aria. What is this? Ewan stepping back. It's like the lake followed us. Malcolm quietly. No, we never left the lake. We just thought we had. They returned to the cabin. The air inside felt heavier now. The lights flickered without wind. The wood creaked in rhythmic patterns, like the breath of something ancient and alive. Malcolm sat at the table, fingers on his temples, notes scattered, eyes glazed. Then suddenly, clarity. Malcolm firmly, I understand now. The others turned. Malcolm. It wasn't the creature. It was never the creature. It was the lake. It uses someone, traps them, transforms them, keeps them until they break. Aria. But why? Malcolm, gesturing to his notes. Old myths. Sacrifice echoes across cultures. Every cursed body of water has one thing in common. A guardian, not a beast. A vessel, something chosen or condemned. Ewan. Chosen by who? Malcolm softly. By the lake. Outside, the sound of water began to rise. Not waves, not rain. A rushing. The windows shook, the fire guttered. Through the fogged glass they saw it. The wall of water, no longer still. It was moving inward, shrinking, closing. The cabin creaked under pressure. They were being pushed, herded. Aria terrified. It's forcing us into the lake. Owen, loading his sidearm. No, we fight. We find a way out. But Malcolm didn't move. He simply stared at the door. Malcolm, softly. It doesn't want all of us. Just one. And somewhere beneath the floorboards. The sound of water dripped upward. Chapter 5. There must always be a creature. The sound of the water was no longer just a sound. It was everywhere, roaring in their ears, pressing into the walls, humming beneath the floorboards. The cabin groaned like a ship caught in a storm, though no storm raged outside. Only the wall of water, now closing in, no longer still and mysterious, but moving with purpose. The windows bulged inward. Water seeped from the corners like veins crawling across glass. Aria shouting, It's pushing us! It's herding us! Ewan grabbing his pack. It wants us at the lake. Malcolm, hoarse eyes distant. So we can't tell anyone. So the story stays buried. So the curse lives on. They ran from the cabin. Outside, the forest was gone, drowned. Fog and water surrounded them on all sides, a ring of liquid wall rising higher than the trees. The ground beneath their feet turned to sludge. Every path was gone, except one. Toward the lake. They tried to fight it. Tried to veer left, then right, but the wall shifted, herding them back like cattle. Every time they strayed, the pressure surged. Water rising to their knees, their waists, their chests. Aria crying out, We're not going to make it. Ewan desperate. There's got to be a way out. Malcolm barely whispering, No, there's not. They reached the shore. The lake was no longer still. It moved, pulsed like a living thing. The surface bubbled. Something below stirred. Then the lake reached out. A column of water, thick as a tree trunk, surged up from the surface, twisting, writhing, and struck. It wrapped around Arya. She screamed, not in pain, but terror. Her arms flailed, fingers clawing the air as she was dragged toward the water's edge. Arya pleading, No, please don't make me be it. Her face twisted, not in agony, but in the horror of knowing. She understood now. The creature they caught had once been someone just like her. Malcolm, eyes wide. There must always be a creature. Ewan shouting, Let her go. But the lake didn't listen. Arya's legs vanished beneath the surface. Her arms, her chest, her scream cut short, replaced by the sound of breath being stolen. The last thing they saw was her eyes, locked on theirs, begging. Then she was gone. The lake paused, as if satisfied, but it wasn't finished. The wall of water surged forward now, not as a hunter, but as a judge. It slammed into Ewan and Malcolm with unstoppable force, like the tide of a world crashing down. They tried to run, but there was nowhere to go. They were pushed, driven down the slope and into the lake's arms. There was no resistance, no struggle, just consumption. They were pulled under, swallowed, erased. And then, silence. The water calmed. The wall vanished. The trees returned. The cabin stood empty. Three months later, a new vehicle rumbled down the gravel path toward Drowned Hollow. Inside, two figures talked casually, researchers, documentary filmmakers, eager to chase whispers. Young woman, grinning. This place has got a hell of a reputation. The last team vanished without a trace. Camera guy laughing. Perfect. Adds mystery to the trailer. They stepped out, setting up their gear, gazing at the still lake. The fog rolled across the surface, quiet and serene. Then, from the shadows near the reeds, a shape. Not loud, not moving, just watching. Glowing yellow eyes, breathing softly. The creature had returned. No. It had always been there. The end. Tales from the shadows. Creature from the Drowned Hollow. Subscribe if you're not afraid.